Welcome back. I'm here to read Chapter 3 with you, A Frog in the Mirror. Froggy hadn't seen sunlight in weeks. All he had to look at day and night was the macabre sight of Moriana's basement. The missing children from the Corner Kingdom and the Charming Kingdom still lay peacefully in their beds as the witch's horrible spell drained them of their life force. The children's youth and their vitality were magically transferred into potion bottles at the foot of their beds, which Moriana usually sold to the customers of her shop upstairs. Luckily, the witch hadn't returned in days to switch out the bottles, giving her captives more time before they were drained completely. The longer Froggy was forced to witness the dark magic, the more it angered him. He desperately wanted to free the children from the witch's cruel spell, but he couldn't even free himself. No matter how hard he hit or kicked the plate of glass between them, it never budged. Unfortunately, neither he nor the children could be saved without magic powerful enough to counteract the witch's enchantments, and Froggy wasn't convinced such magic existed anymore. If there had been any passing observers, Froggy would have appeared as a reflection without a source. Inside the mirror, he was completely alone in a pitch-black world, and the view of Moriana's basement hovered in the air like a window without walls. Regardless of how far he traveled in each direction, there was absolutely nothing in the darkness for miles around. As he searched the strange world, he often would wander as far as the basement, or from the basement, that it would shrink to just a speck of light behind him. As much as it pained him to watch the cursed children, Froggy was afraid to lose sight of it completely. Moriana's basement was his only source of stimulation, and he worried he might go mad without it. Life inside the mirror was affecting his mind enough already. The longer he was imprisoned, the faster time went. A simple daydream could cost him a few hours if he wasn't careful, and if he fell asleep, a day or two would pass before he would wake up. It also became increasingly difficult for him to remember where he was, how he had gotten there, and most concerning, who he was. Each passing moment felt less and less like reality and more like a bad dream. "Get a grip of yourself," he said. "Your name is Carlton Charming. You were born 25 years ago in the Charming Kingdom. You were the fourth son of King Chester and Queen Clarice. Your brothers' names are Chance, Chase, and Chandler. Your mother passed away when you were a boy, and your father died shortly after Chance married Cinderella. You have two nieces named Hope and Ash, and have always wanted a big family of your own." Froggy held his head and paced in a circle as he recalled the information. Whenever he felt his sanity start to slip, he found that reciting facts was the quickest way to restore it, but it became harder each day. When you were a teenager, you made the mistake of courting a witch named Moriana. You discovered she practiced dark magic, so you called off the engagement. It enraged her so that she cursed you and made you look like a frog. It made you ashamed of your appearance, and you lived in seclusion for years. You built a home underground where you could read thousands of books and drink lily pad tea. Then one day you found 12-year-old twins in the forest, and they changed your life forever. The memory of meeting Alex and Connor in the dwarf forest made him laugh. Had he known then about all the trouble they'd get him into, he probably would have run screaming in the opposite direction. But now he was thankful for every second of life he had to claim. The twins are the ones who nicknamed you Froggy. Thanks to them, you're friends with Jack and Goldilocks, you're engaged to Red Riding Hood, and you were recently elected King of the Center Kingdom. You managed to create a wonderful life despite Moriana's spell. She couldn't stand how happy you became, so she cursed you into this blasted mirror. If you can't let her magic, but you can't let her magic get the best of you. You can't let yourself fade away. It wasn't Froggy's first exposure to mirror enchantment, and so he knew what to expect. A few years earlier, he witnessed the evil queen using the legendary wishing spell to free the man trapped in her magic mirror. Tragically, by the time the man was rescued, all his memories, his personality traits, and his physical features had melted away. Without a doubt, Froggy knew the same effects had begun creeping over him. "You can't let the darkness consume you," Froggy told himself. "There's too much you will miss out on if you give in to it. You have to find a way out of this prison so you can have a future with the people you love. You must hold on to your identity so you don't suffer the same fate as the man from the evil queen's magic mirror. You must fight off this horrible curse so Moriana doesn't win." Froggy had no idea how to free himself from the mirror, but he knew he'd never find an answer by lingering around Moriana's basement for eternity. So putting one web foot in front of the other, Froggy journeyed into the great shadowy world surrounding him until Moriana's basement disappeared from sight. He wandered aimlessly through the darkness for what felt like hours, but he never found anything. It was so dark he couldn't see his hands or feet, let alone something he might collide with. With every step he worried he might make a grave mistake by leaving the basement, and feared the oblivion would drive him insane. Please let me find something that proves I'm not alone, he prayed aloud. I need help, something, anything to help that can guide me. Suddenly, a speck of light appeared in the distance. It was only the size of a pinhole, but something as bright as the sun against the darkness. The discovery filled Froggy's stomach with butterflies. Maybe he wasn't alone after all. He ran toward the light as fast as he could, and it grew into the shape of a tall rectangle. Perhaps it was a door. As Froggy appeared near the anomaly, he realized it was another plate of glass, and his spirit sank. Had he walked through the darkness in a giant circle? Was the view of Moriana's basement the only thing that existed in the dark world? Froggy's heart skipped a beat when he noticed the glass plate was much taller and wider than the plate he was used to. Perhaps he had found something new. He peered into the glass and found not the missing children as expected, but a massive great hall with pale brick walls, green curtains, and silver chandeliers. My word, it's a palace, Froggy exclaimed happily. Wait a moment, I recognize this place. I've been here many times before. It's the entrance hall of the Northern Palace. This must be the view from another mirror. The darkness must somehow connect the two mirrors. Suddenly, hundreds of other square and rectangular plates of glass appeared all around him like floating windows. The bizarre phenomenon startled Froggy so much he croaked. It had been a while since he'd been excited by anything. He looked through the glass plates and saw into sitting rooms, drawing rooms, bed chambers, and hallways, all locations he recognized as well. I can see through all the mirrors in the Northern Palace, Froggy said. This must be how the man in the evil queen's magic mirror was such a capable spy. He was using the darkness as a path between mirrors. The discovery made Froggy's heart flutter. Perhaps the more he learned about the strange dark world, the closer he was to finding a way out of it. He desperately searched all the mirrors for someone to communicate with, but oddly, he couldn't find a single soul in the palace. That's peculiar, he said. I've visited Chandler and Snow White a number of times, and their home has never been this empty. I'm going to stop there, and I'll continue in the next chapter, or the next part of the chapter in the next video. I'll see you then.